Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Eric May, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you have joined us for our Technology Virtual Investor Conference. Our next live presentation is from Hydreight Technologies, Inc. Before I introduce our speaker, a few points to note. Please submit your questions in the question box to the left of the slides. If you are interested in scheduling a meeting with Hydreight Technologies, please click on the Schedule Meetings tab found in the platform navigation bar. You'll be able to view the company's availability and submit a meeting request. On a final note, all of today's presentations will be recorded and available for 24/7 replay. At this point, I am very pleased to welcome Shane Madden, Chief Executive Officer of Hydreight Technologies, Inc., which trades on the OTCQB venture market under the symbol HYDTF and on the TSXV under the symbol NURS. Welcome, Shane.
Thank you, guys. Hi, everybody. I'm very excited and honored to be presenting Hydreight Technologies to everybody, introducing everyone to the concept of this platform and what we try to achieve. So I want to give a brief overview of the company, the opportunity that it fills and what the company offers to medical providers across the country first, and then I'll go into some slides. So Hydreight was actually formed in 2018. The date is quite relevant, as we'll see later. It was formed with the mission statement, essentially, of providing the United States' first mobile medicine platform across all 50 states. So, again, a bold mission statement. We looked at this for the gap in the market as the trends were going. Everything was mobile, consumer based. Was looking for connectivity between patients and service providers. Healthcare to be done in a different way. Technology is the forefront, and Hydreight wanted to create and see why there was not a platform that already did this across all 50 states. Went into a long proof of concept stage, speaking to state boards, and essentially created a platform with a legal compliant base that we built the technology and the structure around. So that was the mission statement, to empower service providers and healthcare professionals across all 50 states. Anyone who's in the health space knows that that's a very, very difficult thing to do. Even some of the top hospitals, biggest hospitals in the world, are not based across all 50 states. So that was the mission statement. The reason the year is very important is we all know what happened in 2019. The pandemic hit with COVID. It shone light on a platform like ours in quite a unique way. There was two sides. From the patient's perspective, the pandemic obviously shone light on anything virtual, the need for that, telemedicine, at-home care, things like that. But it shone more light also on our end users, which was our service providers. They were already struggling with underpaid, overworked in the hospitals, and then the COVID pandemic just expedited that. So it shone light essentially on our platform and essentially the services we offered and the unique position we are in this market. So that was one thing. The second thing the pandemic did is it relaxed some laws where, temporarily, so that service providers could actually engage in a more meaningful way. So that was the mission statement. What problems do Hydreight solve? And I'll get into the slides in a minute. Is there is a unique barrier to entry that most people don't know. The traditional healthcare system, which is built around nurses. They are the backbone of healthcare in the United States. There's 4.5 million nurses in the United States. If anything was to go wrong there would be no healthcare. So in 30 of the 50 states, it is actually illegal. It is not a gray area. It is illegal for nurses to operate outside of a bricks and mortar hospital or a clinic. So this is a structural thing that most people do not know. It's called a corporate practice of medicine law. So as I said, Hydreight is built around compliancy. We're the first company to actually be able to offer these types of services as a platform in all 50 states. So we started there. The second thing that I will, before I go into more in-depth stuff on the slides, the second thing is we wanted to not have our nurses be something that they're not used to being. They're good at giving care. They're good at, providing service and healthcare, but we did not want them to have to change their DNA, so to speak. Being a marketing guru, a business guru, anything like that is not what we wanted. We wanted to give the benefits of being your own boss, essentially, and the ability to monetize your credentials and connect with patients in a never before done way. We wanted to give that ability without asking for anything else. So Hydreight is an all-encompassing platform for healthcare. It is not one service; it is many services, and we support many healthcare professionals. So again, to that point, I'll just move on with a couple of slides. This is our homepage. We have some legal slides that you can look over, and I'll move on here. So there's a couple of companies that are talking about. So Andreessen Horowitz said that the next big company is going to be a health tech company. So the biggest company in the world is going to be, the next big thing, so to speak, is going to be a health tech company. That's what Hydreight does. Is it marries the legal structure of compliance, liability, corporate practice of medicine with the Uber-style medicine, and we'll get to how we're described as the Uber for nurses in a minute. It connects the two in a never-before-done way. So it has the technology side for the patient, the ease of booking that they're used to through web applications and things like that, and remote ordering. Everything is virtual, but we marry that with the compliance side on the service providers. So behind the service providers, we have a full network, obviously, of doctors, physician networks, pharmaceuticals, which we'll get into. As I said, we want to be the platform that empowers the nurses to do exactly what they're good at, which is giving care and leaving the business side of it to us. So that's the first slide. Our vision, we have kind of gone over that. We're affectionately called the Uber for nurses. I feel Hydreight is much more than that. Uber, they didn't reinvent the wheel, they just kind of reinvented how the clients and the operators work together. Hydreight does that as well as much more for the operators. The Hydreight Brand. So we're a telehealth plan, as I said, medical network and online pharmacy. So one of the things that I'll get into in more depth down the road is some of the barriers to entry. And the reason that a platform like ours is so valuable and exists and is so unique is that it's not one problem to suddenly say, I'm going to do mobile medicine. There is many issues to that. We call those barriers to entry. Access to pharmaceuticals is just one of them. So we're going to go into that in a future slide. Anywhere, anytime. As I said, we're across all 50 states, which in itself is an achievement. There is not a lot of health tech companies or even hospitals that are there. So we are empowering the nurses all the time. As I said earlier, there's 4.5 million nurses. Some of the revenue projections we're going to go into shortly is actually based off of 0.02 to 0.03%. Some of the projected numbers that we're going to talk about of this market. So as you can see, the scalability is absolutely there. Hydreight is very new to the market. Our scaling and our interest level is at an all-time high, and we're looking to capitalize on that and capture a large part of this market. So again, the revenues that we're going to talk about and the scalability that we're talking about is based off of an incredibly low market size at the moment. So huge potential there. Getting into how the business works. So how our revenue stream works is we are an annual subscription model to join our platform. 2,000, 3,000 to 5,000, depending on the type of subscription model that the nurse is going to go for. We take 10% facilitation fee of all of the services done on the platform. And then we obviously have our own digital pharmacy that we have a network that services all 50 states. Again, another thing that is unique to the industry. 503Bs, the way they work is they do not work all 50 states. Hydreight, through its digital pharmacy structure, is actually able to facilitate the same services, the same offerings across all 50 states. Again, when you marry that with the compliance and the convenience, this is why this platform is getting such interest, and why we feel strongly that we are going to take over a large capital market. White label. So there's certain things we've reached businesses we're reaching out to us for the use of our structure. So obviously Hydreight is very much geared at the service providers, very much geared at the healthcare professionals, and allowing them to monetize their credentials, improve their life, less hours at the hospital, or even leave the hospital completely if they are doing extremely well. But some other companies can benefit from our structure and from our tech. So white labels, franchise IV therapy companies have reached out, and we actually have a number of white labels already who use our technology to offer mobile services. So that's another revenue stream, very powerful. So a company that's too big to be under our brand or does something slightly different can actually we can monetize that with our technology and mainly our structure. Again, getting back to my original kind of statement, our structure is incredibly unique. So moving forward. Just getting into the business here a little bit. So I'm going to go a little bit more into depth as to what we solve. So it's, as I said, a blanket statement is that we're trying to empower the nurses all across the United States and basically solve any issue that you possibly could have to getting into this industry. So one of the things I said earlier was in 30 of the 50 states, it's actually illegal. That's called a corporate practice of medicine law. So Hydreight has a PC network, a captive PC network structure across all 50 states. So we give the ability to work compliantly on our platform as a 1099 independent contractor. This again is not done. This would have been a barrier to entry for any nurse in any of those 30 states. So this is a huge piece. They do not have to form an LLC. This goes back to our mission statement, is that we want them to focus on what they're good at and leave the business side of it to us. So medical direction, we have a medical director and a medical direction team in all 50 states. Again, this is making everything turnkey. We have a blanket medical insurance policy that protects our 1099 employees that are doing services out in the field. Access to pharmacy. Some of these things I'm glancing over, but they are actually really, really unique things that have never been done in this way before. So 503B pharmacy, as I alluded to, it's one thing to be able to give, say an IV therapy or an aesthetic or a lab test. It's another thing, you're not a pharmacist. So Hydreight has proprietary IV blends. So again, sign up to the Hydreight platform and you have access to menu that are state compliant. Again, even the administering of an IV differs in each state. So Hydreight offers the menus and offers the oversight and the compliance there. Pharmaceutical written by Doctor of Pharmacy, just talked about that. Aesthetics, copyrighted service procedures. So on the actual nuts and bolts side of things, when you're going to give a service, there is pre and post care forms. All of these things are utilized in our technology. So again, the provider does not have to do anything other than what they're good at. So all of these flows are built into our technology. Is convenience on the customer side, convenience on the service provider side, and again, these things have never been done before in this way. Physician service telemedicine calls. So getting back to my earlier comment regarding why the COVID pandemic was so important. Laws, we were structured prior to COVID. So we're structured in a very compliant, very all-encompassing way. They relaxed some laws, the state boards relaxed some laws, and now are reinforcing those. So Hydreight is actually one of the only companies that is structured to actually comply with those things. So telemedicine calls for your first ever service, for example, is one thing that is now mandatory. So those companies that have not got a structure to facilitate that are closing down or really narrowing their scope, so to speak, to a couple of states. Again, Hydreight's uniqueness and key was that we structured for all 50 states. We have a full network of physicians. We have medical directors across all 50 states and a full scope of practice there. Onboarding, training, or legal employee contracts. Again, these are barriers to entry. If a service provider was trying to do this on their own, they don't have to worry about any of those things. Access to technology, access to marketing, medical brand or website, payroll structure, and all of these things that go with running a business. One of our taglines is we give you all the benefits of being your own boss with none of the headaches of running your own business. So again, this is where Hydreight is. So we take 10% of the gross. Our most popular and normal package is $3,999 for the year, and our pharmacy averages about 20% margin. So that's 3 of the 4 main revenue streams. We talked about the white label a little bit earlier. Trying to go as fast as I can here to get through everything. How's the company doing? So as you can see, we're scaling very, very strongly here. The company is in a cash position, very strong cash position, very strong books. we've gone from 1.7 million in 2021 to 6.9 top line, and based off of our current Q1 and projections for this year, we should be around the 16.5 estimated. So that's kind of how Hydreight is done. And if I take you back to an earlier slide, that is based off of a very small percentage of this market cap. So our scaling is exponential, and we're very excited about that. We have other total revenue and things there. We can get into that in the questions if we need to. Upcoming catalysts. So again, structure is obviously very important for any company that wants to have exponential growth. So access to the healthcare professionals in a different way. Right now, our organic growth is approximately 60 to 100 new providers per month. What we're trying to do is to through acquisitions get access through other companies to larger amounts of nurses. So we have about 3 acquisitions in the pipeline that we are looking at to do this year. Some of them are further down the road than others, but in the next quarter, we are looking at definitely getting some of those done. Adding other services. So obviously, I brought up IV therapy quite a bit in the last few minutes. That is the cool kid on the block, so to speak, from a service perspective. It is one of the popular services, one of the easier ones to get product, and that's why it's our flagship product among the nurses. However, aesthetic products are an incredibly high earner. Again, there's a lot of structure around giving an aesthetic service mobily. So again, our platform is one of the only platforms that support that. Lab testing, aesthetics, IV therapy, and other services is all of the services right now that we're offering, with more to be added. Medical dispatch. So this one is essentially in our scaling. What we want to do is support the healthcare professionals and support the patients and the overall bookings by having a central point for booking. So we want the providers essentially to have these appointments booked for them. Of course, people can go to the app and download in the traditional way, pick your location and book your service. But we want to actually support the national expansion. So more services, happier healthcare professionals. They're making more money, more renewals, more attention. So there's many benefits to the medical dispatch. That's going to be ran by RNs. It's not going to be just a random booking, call center, so to speak. This is truly a medical dispatch. It's going to be a huge catalyst for this year. Hydreight University and Training Center. This is another thing that we're bringing in Q3 or Q4 of this year. So continued education as we roll out these other services, getting our service providers up to speed on what the new offering is, how to do it, and how to roll it out. So more services, more interest, more bookings. Increase the number of products and partnership to expand our aesthetic offering. Kind of touched on that, expanding the labs nationally, and that's one of the pivots we're going to make here. Is that moving into necessity for the bookings is one of our goals here, not only this year but next year. Moving into essential services. So obviously the IVs and the aesthetic will always be there. The interest will always be there. The upside for the providers is always there. But we want to move into some more essential services. Adding more white label clients. They're coming all the time. As I say, the crackdown on the state laws post-COVID is really driving customers aggressively to us. So trying to move on here with some time. Next potential destinations, obviously, Canada is top of our hit list. Our structure is built in a way where the app, the platform, and the medical platform, the app, or the technology, should I say, and the pharmacy are like 3 plugins. So we literally just have to have those pieces in place in any country, and essentially we can expand there. So the legal structure, the technology, the pharmacy, and the medical oversight is the 4 core pieces of the entire platform. So we can replicate those. Canada is the one we're most furthest down the line on, followed by the UK. We have connections in Greece, and we have a portfolio company through our VST partners in Brazil. So those are the expansion right off the bat. Comparables here in the market. Again, Hydreight is extremely unique in terms of its model, in terms of its offering. One of the only companies that goes after the actual true healthcare professionals and nurses. But these are some comparables that are in the public space. Moving forward, Hydreight Medical Network. we kind of touched on that. And Hydreight Pharmacy, we kind of touched on that too. But essentially, without the pharmacy model that we have, we could not have the offering across all 50 states. But we kind of touched on this. Key partners, again, just conscious of time here, I'm just going to keep moving. Key partners, we have, McKesson, Medline. Drip Bar is one of our white labels. It's a bricks and mortar with over 600 locations that uses our technology and our platform to take their business mobile. Safe Test Technology, that's the company in Brazil, and some other partners. This is Anita Farley. I'm just going to touch on this one real quick, just to show the power of the platform. This is one of our early customers in 2019 out of Scottsdale. Anita started with us, just again, doing this on the side hustle, weekends, nighttime, etc. In the next year, she became so successful that she actually left the hospital completely. She now has a large territory down there in Scottsdale with a lot of nurses working on her, and this is her full-time job, working on Hydreight. So she is one of the many success stories that we've had, and one of our greatest supporters. Moving forward, cap table. So the opportunity there is Hydreight essentially is very tight structure. There's 37 million with only 7 million outstanding. So essentially the upside there for early investors is quite high, for a strategic investor. So we'll move on, and that's it. I'll open it up for questions, guys. Okay. Okay, so we got a question here regarding our sales channels. So we have multiple sales channels. Obviously, we do some sponsorship. Last year, we sponsored the Nurses March in Washington D.C. Where 40,000 nurses. We were the main sponsor and main speaker. That really got traction. Regarding they wanted better pay. Regarding their frustrations, we have social media channels. We have the traditional channels like that. We were inundated last year because of the uniqueness of the company and because of the state law changes and because of all of that. We had over 15,000 sales calls last year. Our interest is very, very high. So social media, regular marketing channels, and all of the above. One of the catalysts that we're trying to do this year is we are going to connect with recruitment companies and larger organizations that have direct access to nurses. So, but at this moment in time, we are inundated with interest. Do you have any competitors? We're the first out the door with an Uber. We're the first. Yeah. So I think there might have been a typo there, but I think I get the question. We do not have any direct competitors. Now, what do I mean by that? There is no platform like Hydreight, like I described. So across all 50 states, empowering healthcare professionals in this way with a full end-to-end solution. There is, of course, other IV companies that have, maybe 1 or 2 states and employ nurses, but that is not what Hydreight does. So the answer is no. In a direct, we were absolutely the first to market, and we're the first company to actually work backwards. So we're the first company to go to the state boards and actually work on the compliance first, so that the structure is there, and then build on from there, so that it's scalable. Do you have any? 1 second here. Seems you are undervalued versus peers. How and when do you change the value perception? We're extremely undervalued. I agree completely. So obviously we went public in December. Our entire business is in the United States. So we wanted to work on the structure of the company and the operations and just tighten and make that scalable. So that was our full focus of Q1. Obviously, because we're in the United States, OTC was important to get listed on. So we've just started the introduction on the cap side of things in April. So we just did a family office event in London 2 weeks ago. We're doing this. We have another one in Vegas, and we have a full list of things. But absolutely agree, fully undervalued at the moment. I'm not seeing any other questions right now. seeing any questions at the moment, so I might just here we go. Key milestones, capital requirements. Yeah, so I would very much invite everybody, because most people here are in the United States, to download and try the app, try our services. As I said, we are expanding, very, very rapidly, but we're already across all 50 states. Definitely download and try our services. That would be a huge thing. Key milestones for 2023 and capital requirements. Yeah. So again, our targets essentially, we have a very strong end of year and Q1 report coming out. So we are, for an early investor, the opportunity is definitely there for Hydreight. Our expansion is based around doing exactly what we're doing right now, throwing fuel on the fire, to use a better expression. Just keep expanding that. The more regulations crack down, the more attention will be on us. We already are super excited and super happy about our lead generation and the amount of new providers we bring on a monthly basis. So the scaling is there. As I said, putting the medical dispatch together, bringing more offerings, things like that to expand what we already do. Couple of acquisitions to get access to more nurses and building that. Right now, our organic, we look to bring on about 1,500 new healthcare professionals this year, but we want to do some B2B plays where we can get 5 and 10 and a lot more access to nurses, so to rapidly grow that. So that's our plan for this year, and the upside is certainly there. So we get some questions here about the capital requirements. The company, as of right now, is in a very strong cash flow position. The money that we did from the raise to go public is actually in a savings account. The company is cash positive, and from a GAAP perspective, we are essentially looking to use either the money and for some acquisitions, or to expand on one of our desired routes for this year to expansion. So that's it. How has partnering with partnering with Victory Square has been absolutely fantastic. If I didn't mention at the start, I'm the founder, CEO now, but founder of Hydreight. And in 2020, end of 2020, start of 2021, I was introduced to Victory Square, and the level of guidance and structure that has been brought since that partnership has been one of the main reasons for this success and where we're at, and how we're structured to scale. So fantastic is the way I would answer that one. Do you supply physiotherapists? Not right now, but the way the structure is, we can add other healthcare professionals. Right now, we're focused on the medical side. So essentially, anything that requires healthcare professional to do a mobile medical, if it requires telemedicine, if it requires a pharmaceutical purchase, that's our main focus, and expanding those services. So as I said, IV therapy, lab testing, aesthetics, which is incredibly profitable for the healthcare professionals, and marrying all of that in a turnkey, all-encompassing platform. That's what's changed. That's what changed the game, so to speak, and being across all 50 states. think that's all the questions right now. Okay. So I think if that's all the questions, that this was an absolute pleasure presenting, guys, and I hope I was able to introduce you to Hydreight and give you a bit of a background of where we came from and where we're going.